Township website. Additionally, this evening, we have two stellar, long-time township employees who will be promoted. We will be promoting one of Chatham Township's finest to police sergeant. And sorry about that. And promoting a longtime employee to our deputy public works manager. These are both well-deserved promotions, and we congratulate both of them for their achievements and are excited to see their continued success that they will have in their new roles as they continue to service our River Road will be closed between 7 a.m. and will be reopened after 5 p.m. Please avoid the area or follow the posted detour. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I just wanted to pull out 2022-178 on the joint rec agreement. And we had talked about we are adding, not to the consent agenda, but we're adding resolution 2022-
And that's entitled appointing interim administrator.
And that'll be a non-consent agenda.
Yeah, talking on the non-consent. Anything else? Okay, motion to adopt the agenda as changes.
So
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Okay. Now we are going to go on to the police promotion. Can I get a motion to adopt resolution 2022-170 appointing police sergeant?
so
Roll call vote?
Mrs. Ewald,
yes.
Mrs. Fundaco,
Yes.
Mr. Lois,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hamilton,
Yes.
and Mayor Fleece.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, so Sergeant Muda Blandford joined the Chatham Township Police in January 2004. Prior to joining the Chatham Township Police Department, Muda served as a police officer with the University of Medicine and Dentistry in Newark, New Jersey. During his service with the Chatham Township Police, he was assigned in 2007 as a task force officer with the Morris County Prosecutors Narcotics Unit. And in 2010 was again assigned to the Morris County Prosecutor's Office to serve on the county-wide auto theft task force in 2010. In 2019, Muda was reassigned to the Detective Bureau, where he oversaw the property and management function expungements, general investigations, and alcohol beverage control functions. In 2020, he was again assigned to the Morris County Auto Theft Task Force, where he was instrumental in solving several crimes related to auto theft in the township, as well as throughout Morris County. He currently serves as the supervising lead instructor and is the department's resiliency program officer. He is also heavily involved with the New Jersey Special Olympics torch run, where he serves as a coordinator. During his career, he has earned several life-saving awards, as Exceptional Duty Awards, Good Conduct Award, and the Meritorious Service Award. Tonight, Muda is joined by his wife, Kirsten, and his two daughters, Elle and Mila. Do you want to come up? Thank you. Yes, sorry, it's kind of.
No, sorry about that.
I'm sorry. Do one of you want to hold the microphone? Sorry. I state your name.
I, Musa Blanford,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I shall support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith
and I shall bear true faith
and allegiance to the same
and allegiance to the same,
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
I do further solemnly swear
I do further solemnly swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties
all of the duties
of the office of
of
Police Sergeant
police sergeant
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my abilities.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, he needs to sign this, not me. You guys want to get a group photo? Yeah. Sorry about that, I'm really sorry.
When you have a chance. When you have a chance, I just need your signature on it.
Oh, need a second. Right here.
Sally in the room. Back up, Sally, go farther back. Make a left. Head to the picture.
I need a wider lens, please. Nice. Gotta come in. Oh, God. You got it. Good
We have one more promotion this evening, and this is for Donald Kidd. He has been with the township for 22 years. He joined after 20 years in the corporate world and has, with 5 years in heavy excavation. He started with the Department of Public Works in December of 1999. Don started his career at the Water Pollution Control and transferred to the Buildings and Grounds crew in 2000. Then in 2003, he was transferred to the road crew, and in 2006, he was promoted to the roads foreman. In July of 2016, he was then promoted to general foreman position, overseeing the day-to-day operations of the DPW. Don is a 42-year active member of the Chatham Borough Fire Department, and he resides in Madison with his two sons, Colin and Tyler. Excuse me. Sorry, you want to come up with? Sorry about that. I'm just butchering with me today. Thank you. Thank you. Oh yeah, you forgot that.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, repeat after me. I, Don Kidd,
I, Don Kidd,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey.
and I will bear true faith
And I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same
and allegiance to the same
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority of the people.
under the authority of the people.
I do further solemnly swear
I do further solemnly swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties of the office
all the duties of the office
of Assistant Public Works Director,
of Assistant Public Works Director
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. I'll take that, but you need to sign that.
Oh. Right here? Thank you very much.
Don, you want to take a picture of the kid?
Yeah.
He's gotta be in the middle. He's in the center of that one.
Eyes over here. I'm on my way.
Thank you.
We are gonna take a short recess. We're gonna take a short recess.
Great. I got a couple messages that said that the
Hold on one second, sorry.
Alex, are you good? Okay, great, we are back. And let's go into reports. Committee on Evil, are you ready?
I have a couple of reports. I did want to make residents aware that Fisher Rec is on June 11th. So that came to my attention through the Medicine Chatham Coalition, the Municipal Alliance Committee of the Chathams, because they'll have tables there. So if you want to learn more about those organizations and get information about, mental health awareness, substance abuse awareness, they have a lot of good materials and a lot of good information. We also got, and I'm hoping to do a good job of finding it. The water pollution control utility provided a report to the committee. I won't try and read it because I won't do it justice. It's very technical. But the punchline is that there's a lot of work aside from inspections, day-to-day sample collection analysis that they do, and their efforts are saving the town money. So I just wanted to report and thank them again for all their efforts. And that's it for my reports.
Okay, Committee Woman Nordaco?
Yes, I have some reports here. First, the Mayor's Wellness Committee, the Chatham Community Food Distribution is going on its third year, and there's still a need for contributions, both cash and non-perishable foods. The monetary donations go towards buying fresh vegetables, eggs, and local fruit. And these are made available to our Julio's for about $40 a box. And each box contains about, I've already said that. So to donate, checks can be made out to the United Methodist Church of Chatham with a memo on the check for COVID relief funds. And that can be sent to 460 Main Street, or you can make a donation online at the Chatham United Methodist Church. And if you need more information, you can contact me. The Chatham Township Police offer a program called Operation Reassurance, and that's to benefit senior citizens and disabled persons who live in the township. And to apply for this service, you can call the police department at 377-0100 to get an application to fill out, or they will drop them off. The requirements will be that you'll call the police department every day between 7 and 10 a.m. And you may speak to someone, or you can leave a message. If they don't hear from you, they will give you a call, find out if you're okay. And if they don't get an answer, they will personally go to your home to make sure everything's okay. And that's I think the borough has it also. The Environmental Commission has had many successful events throughout the spring, and now they're making plans for their setup for the Fisher Rec Festival. I know a lot of us were here at the Green Village Firehouse celebration for their 100th anniversary. And they will be having the Memorial Day service on Monday, May 30th at 8:30 a.m. On June 18th, the Historical Society is hosting the 100th anniversary of the Colony Pool Association. It's going to be held on School Avenue by the Colony Pool. It will be from 1 to 4 p.m. Monday, and along with live music by Dan Levinson and the Palomar Jazz Band with Molly Ryan. I have a list here for PBW, what they've been up to. The Colony Pool is full, chlorine pumps installed. They passed a 5-year bond on the pool to make sure everything is rounded around the pool correctly. Diving boards are on, tables are out, ice machine came in yesterday for the kitchen, and they're installing it today. They added 2 fans inside the kitchen, make repairs on the playgrounds. They started to assemble 60 chairs for the senior center. They have weekly grass cutting on recreation fields and township-owned properties. They're driving and striping baseball fields every day, striping soccer and boys and girls lacrosse at Esternay Field every week. They added new toilet paper dispensers at Nashville and Shunpike Field. They finalized the contractor to install an automatic door openers for Nash and Shunpike bathrooms, just waiting for some of the parts to come in. They're continuing to remove dead tree limbs at Shunpike Field. They cleaned up the corner at Buxton Road, still filling potholes. And they worked with the contractor for 2 days over at the Hillside Avenue Trail. The work included adding a swale along the white walking path and piping it under the path for discharge. They added seed and hay in bare areas. And they're still doing mulch delivery every Friday. You just have to get a check over to the DPW. And the mulch is 3 yards for 25 and 6 yards for 50. And that's the end.
Great, Committeeman Lewis.
So for communications, we have about 35% of the equipment is in for the upgrades in this room.
Great.
So that's good news. For recreation, we'll be meeting again on June 12th for the JRAC. For Colony Pool, we open this weekend, and Sunday there will be music from 3 to 5. And just to piggyback on what committee woman Mondako said, we are excited to have that 100th anniversary on June 18th from 1 to 4, and there will be music as noted. That's great. For finance, we've agreed to meet in July for a mid-year review. And for utilities, I'm happy to say that PSE&G has cleared part of the row, the right of way for the utility lines, but there is no picture of the eagle. And I'm sorry to say that. They cleared part of the row. I say that because the orange barricades and the fences and some posts have been removed, but we still are working on getting those blue silt erosion control barriers up. And initially we were told they're not going to come up, and then today they've come back. The liaison has come back to well, they may be doing that, so we'll see what happens. So I was hoping to get that out of there for the opening. And then the last thing with utilities is that we've been working with PSE&G, New Jersey American Water, and JCP&L on specific roads that we're planning to pave or that the county is going to be paving to see if they can accelerate the work so that there isn't roadways that are ripped up for known planning work. That's it.
Great. Deputy Mayor Hamilton.
Yeah, I'll be brief tonight. The main thing I have is that the Library of the Chathams is going to be disseminating a community-wide survey to gauge the temperature and ask various questions, both for general strategic planning purposes going forward with the library and specific to implementing the renovations and construction project that's coming forward. So please be on the lookout for that. I know it's important. So sometimes if you get something from the library, you might not pay the most attention to it, but please be on the lookout for that town-wide survey. Hopefully get a lot of feedback from all the many people in the community who use the library. And beyond congratulating Sergeant Blanford on his promotion. When you have the police here tonight, so it's good to be safe, lock of cars. That's all I got.
You'll keep out some cards. Mr. King, do you have a report?
I have no report.
Okay, Mr. LaConte.
Just real quick, just so the public and the committee are aware, next week begins our summer hours, which was in consultation with the mayor. What that means is that on Monday through Thursday, we'll work our normal 8:30 to 4:30 hours. And then Fridays, we'll work 8:30 until 1:30. That'll go through Labor Day weekend. On June 7th, we have the primary election coming up. For those who receive mail-in ballots, in addition to mailing your ballots in, we still have the drop box out front of the municipal building. Early voting will be available on Friday, June 3rd, Saturday, June 4th, and Sunday, June 5th. Each day that'll run from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. on the Friday and Saturday, and 10 to 6 on the Sunday. And then earlier in the evening, the mayor referenced the paving on River Road. Late in the day, I got an update from our engineer's office, which has been posted to our town website. I think tomorrow they're doing from Fairmount to Roosevelt, and then going to continue the next section thereafter. But we will be posting regular updates to the website.
Fantastic. Thank you. Now we're going to open up our hearing of citizens. Our committee room is open to the public, and we look forward to having you join us. Additionally, this meeting is being available for public participation remotely. If you're watching cable TV on Comcast Channel 29 or Fios Channel 26, you can participate in the public comment session of this meeting by dialing the phone numbers which are listed on the agenda and which are shown on your TV screen. Please dial *9 to raise your hand. If you're watching via Zoom, you may speak during the public comment session by following the Zoom instructions to raise your hand. Whether in person or online, when you are recognized to speak, please say your name, spell your last name, and give your street number. As a reminder, all public comments will be limited to 5 minutes. Rather than using any of your time to answer questions, we will wait until you finish speaking before responding. Each member of the public will be limited to 1 comment during public comments period. Written comments submitted to the township clerk before 3 p.m. today will be read into the public comment session. Written comments are subject to the same guidelines as oral comments, and duplicative written comments may be summarized rather than read in full according to the guidelines issued by the New Jersey Division of Local Government Services. Greg, has there been any written comments today?
We've not had any.
Okay, so then we will move forward with in public. Good evening.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here again. My name is Jamie O'Brien. I'm a resident of Chatham Township, 268 Southern Boulevard. And I'm here tonight again on behalf of the Morris County chapter of Lawrence Demand Action. 2 weeks ago, I think you remember, I was before the council to request that the Chatham Township issue a proclamation declaring June 3rd to be Gun Violence Awareness Day. Since we are unfortunately not on the agenda tonight, I would like to use this opportunity to read the proposed proclamation into the record. This proclamation declares June 3, 2022, the first Friday in June, to be National Gun Violence Awareness Day in the Township of Chatham, New Jersey, to honor and remember all victims and survivors of gun violence, and to declare our commitment to reduce gun violence. Whereas every day an average of 110 Americans lives are lost to gun violence, while on average more than 200 Americans are shot and wounded, and nearly 16,000 gun homicides occur each year. And whereas Americans are 26 times more likely to die by gun homicide than citizens of other high-income countries. Whereas gun violence became the leading cause of death for American children and teenagers in 2020. And whereas promoting public safety and protecting our community are among our highest responsibilities. And whereas support for Second Amendment rights of law-abiding citizens goes hand in hand with keeping guns away from those who are dangerous to themselves or others. And whereas gun violence prevention is more important than it ever was, as the COVID-19 pandemic continues to exacerbate gun violence, as evidenced by increased calls to suicide and domestic violence hotlines, and an increase in city gun violence. Whereas on June 3rd, 2022, in recognition of what had been the 23rd birthday of Padilla Pendleton, a young woman tragically shot and killed in January 2013 at the age of 15, people across the United States will recognize Gun Violence Awareness Day and wear orange, not only as a remembrance of Padilla Pendleton, but also of other victims of gun violence and the loved ones of those victims. Whereas the idea of wearing orange to honor Padilla was the inspiration of Padilla's friends, who chose the color hunters wear to announce themselves to other hunters when in the woods, and thereby symbolizes the importance of protecting each other from gun violence. And whereas all are welcome to join this campaign by pledging to wear orange on June 3rd, the first Friday of June 2022, to raise awareness about gun violence and to honor the victims and survivors of gun violence. And whereas we renew our commitment to reduce gun violence and pledge to do so all we can and encourage responsible gun ownership, keep guns out of the hands of the wrong hands, and create a community safe from gun violence. My apologies. In the 2 weeks since I appeared before this council to offer this resolution, this proclamation, mass shootings across the nation have continued, including one today that took the lives of 14 children, one adult. Our purpose in being here is to remember and honor lives lost or changed forever by gun violence, and to raise awareness of this unique health crisis that is facing our community. I ask the council continue its prior support for gun violence awareness, and I ask that the council tonight adopt the proposed proclamation. Thank you.
I'll add my comments.
Hold on. Your name and street?
My name is Crystal Paone, Paone, 57 Van Doren Avenue. So as I said, my name is Crystal Paone, a Chatham Borough resident and a mom of 3. I'm also the volunteer leader for Morris County Violence Demand Action. And in both these roles, I have a common goal: to keep my family and my community safe from gun violence. I would hope that the Chatham Township Committee shares this goal, and I urge the committee tonight to proclaim June 3rd National Gun Violence Awareness Day. It breaks my heart to be coming before this committee weeks after Buffalo and just hours after the devastating shooting and gun deaths in Texas at an elementary school. May their beautiful souls find peace. This crisis of gun violence isn't going to just go away. The names of the towns change, different schools, grocery stores, places of worship. We can't live like this, and our kids shouldn't have to die like this. But school shootings, sadly, are only a small part of daily gun violence incidents. 60% of gun deaths are suicides. Gun violence is an accidental shooting by a child finding unsecured firearm in their home. Gun violence is a domestic dispute that turns deadly because of firearms. This is not simply a matter of mental health failings. Developed countries similar to the US also face mental health issues, but nowhere are the number of gun deaths as high as they are here in this country. Easy access to guns has created a national public health crisis. A patchwork of state laws rather than national gun safety laws leave states like New Jersey vulnerable. We don't advocate removing guns from lawful gun owners. In fact, one of our programs at Moms Demand Action is called Be Smart, and it's about educating gun owners how to safely store their firearms and how to secure ammunition away from their firearms. I was encouraged to see the police department here tonight. I wish they were still here for my remarks, because we work collaboratively with police departments because we share the same goal: to keep our communities safe from gun violence. In fact, for the first time since 2013, the Morris County Prosecutor's Office and the Morris County Sheriff's Department coordinated a gun buyback program just last week. It resulted in the surrender of 674 unwanted firearms. Morris County Sheriff James Gannon stated that reducing gun violence necessitates a cooperative response. Every gun we collect represents a gun taken off the streets, and this is about safety in our communities. Morris County Prosecutor Robert Carroll echoed the sentiment and added, nationally and regionally, we are seeing a significant rise in gun-related violence. Equally of concern is the uptick in suicides
and domestic violence incidents that involve weapons. So something as simple as a gun lock or a background check can disrupt the immediate acquisition of firearms. So this is the type of information and education that we want to share with our community during Wear Orange, and by proclaiming National Gun Violence Awareness Day on June 3rd. These are the collaborative partnerships we want to build because we can't do this alone. The problem is too big. We need the help of the police departments. We need the help of elected officials to acknowledge that gun violence is a national crisis and to commit to doing something about it. On days like today, as much as I'd love to bury my head under the covers, when gun safety advocacy seems impossible, I don't. I show up. We can't be numb and we can't be complacent. We have no choice but to keep going, to organize, to get educated. And so again, I ask the Chatham Township Committee to proclaim the first Friday of this June National Gun Violence Awareness Day. Another way to get involved and amplify our message would be to join us at our Morris County Wear Orange rally on June 4th at the Chatham Borough Gazebo at 10 a.m. We'll be inspired by stories of survivors and gun safety advocates, and then tie orange ribbons on the lamppost along Main Street. It will be a bright and visible sign of hope and action. Again, I urge the committee to support a gun violence awareness proclamation. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments on, it is a very sad day that such a terrible atrocity occurred today. Our thoughts are with members of that community, and I mean, honest, all violence at all times should be condemned, and it has no place in a civilized society. Yeah.
Thank you for your efforts. I definitely will be there on June 4th, and I absolutely support the proclamation and the work of the group. But I know on days like today, it's just particularly heartbreaking knowing those families won't see their children because someone took a gun into an elementary school. And I thank you for all the work that you're doing, and I certainly will be there with you on June 4th.
Thank you.
Thank you, I'll be there too.
Okay, I'm Peter McNally, 100 Noe Avenue, 9-year resident of Chatham Township. People who know me know I care about education, sports, career, things in that order. I will not be participating in the primary, I have no party affiliation. There's no role I haven't played in Chatham sports and recreation, head coach, assistant coach, board member, recreation committee, and occasionally just a parent. I came from a game for this. I left early because after leaving Nash last night, last one out, putting the bases away, tarp on the field, I was alerted to something on the consent agenda about the joint recreation agreement. People asking me questions, so I'd like to know more about what this is about. Now, if it's about finances, let's put it out there. I've got an MBA from the University of Chicago, studied under Nobel laureates, I got a CFA. I'm on TV talking about finance. Now, if we really need our own rec coordinator, let's explain, to everyone why. If there's some kind of imbalance between the borough and the township, let's have an open discussion. But the funny thing is, talking to people last night, everyone seems to be talking about some kind of split. I asked coaches, so it's like 6th grade lax wouldn't happen if the borough and the township had to have separate teams. My U9 baseball team that my kid plays on, I know coach said, we'd be uncompetitive. We'd have a weaker team, 8 kids from the township, 4 from the borough. My 12-year-old plays for Chatham United. They haven't been a competitive team for years, actually. They used to play on lawn. This year they got yesterday, but something was different. They started practicing at Gillette in January after a couple of kids quit after the fall season. The season started better. They won their first 3 games and then an awful loss, not losing 4-1 to Dover. The goalkeeper lost his dad. Took my 12-year-old to a wake. It was awful. He's lucky enough to have all 4 of his grandparents, and my mom survived COVID after 3 weeks in the hospital. It was tough, but he saw what being a teammate, was all about. It's a kid from the borough. Awful. We went up to Mountain Lakes on Sunday in the heat. I sat in the sidelines, watched one of our kids throw up. They went out in the second half, tied 0-0, played with 10 kids. They were on their heels, penalty to Mountain Lakes. Kind of thought that was it. I asked my son, like, what was going on, before that kick. He was like, we were in that kid's ear. Tell him, no way you're scoring on that kid. No way. Ball went off the crossbar. 10 minutes later, 3-0 Chatham. There's no stopping these kids. So I'd love to know what's behind the consent agenda and what can make Chatham sports better. I'm all ears, always open to what anyone has to say. If we're gonna go down the road of separating sports and the township and the borough, someone even asked me over at Shun Pike 1 tonight, I'd love to hear about it. So that's all I got. Let's go, Rangers.
Thank you. Do we want to discuss this now? Or you can start it, I guess.
We want to wait until the public is done with their comments and then.
Do we have anybody else in the public?
No, we're.
Okay, so let's close public hearing of citizens and we can answer some of those questions. First of all,
I'll just say that I am the joint rec advisory committee liaison from this township committee. I've received some emails about the same topic today, and I tried to allay any idea that we are trying to divide the towns or in any way dissolve or affect the joint recreation advisory committee, the joint rec program. None of those things are true. The joint rec advisory committee, the joint rec policies, the joint rec bylaws, the joint rec shared services agreement in whole is not affected at all by the resolution that we would be, that's up for passage tonight. And we'll be debating, I guess, the committee woman, you all pulled it out, so we'll be talking about that specifically. But this relates only to the program coordinator, trust fund management, and supervision of background checks of the joint rec program. It has nothing to do with any other aspect of the joint rec program. None of those features of this shared services agreement are related in any way to the overall recreation agreement.
I mean, ultimately, we love our recreation. That is one of the most valuable assets that we have in a town, especially our town as ours. It's also one of the, if not the #1 complaint that I've heard is about why isn't it better? And we're trying our hardest to make it better. By doing that, we are bringing in, we just hired at our last meeting a pool manager who we anticipate turning into our full-time recreation director to handle day-to-day operations. In that, we will the role of scheduling, which we currently share with the borough. He can work with the borough in that capacity. We don't need to have that as a shared service anymore. That's the thought process. We're not trying to blow up the recreation department. We're trying to do the opposite. We're trying to make it better. So we have someone available full-time to walk the fields every day, to improve, find out what needs to be improved, and meet with the coaches on a regular basis so that we can actually improve it. Because right now, we're not getting that. We're not getting that immediate feedback. And that's what we need.
Yeah, and if you don't mind.
No, absolutely, go ahead.
Yes, we have an ordinance from 2005 that established the joint recreation program. And this is a resolution that we're passing tonight, has nothing to do with those ordinances that are superordinately control our arrangements. So if we were looking to do anything else, we would have to address these ordinances. That's not what we're doing. This is a simple resolution this evening, and it's a way to make the our recreation program better, to put more resources into it. It's not to do anything other than that. And we very much value our partnership with Chatham Borough and in this arrangement and several others.
we want to be able to have a full-time person, on staff available for everything, for our rec program. And I think we found a really great individual who came highly recommended, who spent decades involved in our Chatham Recreation Department, involved in the sports, was coaching for multiple sports. And he seemed like a perfect fit. So we brought him on as our pool manager for the summer to help us start out. And we would like to, and we anticipate, promoting him to our full-time rec director at the end of the summer.
And yeah, and I would just add that this individual is a pool manager at Colony Pool, which serves both many residents from Chatham Borough and Chatham Township. And appropriately, this individual has lived in both the borough and the township on a long-term basis. So I think as a nod to the great relationship we have with the borough, you couldn't find a better ambassador.
Sure.
I'm just gonna say, like, have you talked to coaches about this? Like, so if I'm scheduled on National One and it rains, okay, because we can't use it,
Right.
and rightfully so, right? We protect that. I'm gonna have to call 2 different people and try and schedule.
That's not the intention. We have 6 months now, so what this resolution does is gives us a 6-month notice to fully work out those kinks, to fully negotiate with the borough on how we're gonna work those things out. But that's ridiculous. That should never occur. I made 2 phone calls on, that's ridiculous. We're not gonna do it. Realistically, we need to have software to automate it. That's what we really need to do. And I would love to be able to bring that in. But because I agree, that's ridiculous. You can't be doing that. But we genuinely want to.
It happens. It
I
rains
don't
a
doubt
lot in the
that.
spring, as somebody very well.
I don't doubt that. I promise you, our entire goal here is to improve all of our recreation. We're already talking about various things that we can do to our fields, on upgrades. Like, we want to truly invest into our recreation and make it really thriving. And I don't think it's at its ability right now. I think it's okay. I think there's a lot of room for improvement, and that's what we're trying to do. And I understand, like, any type of change gets, people get weird about it, and I get that, but I promise you, our entire intention is just to make it better.
Look, I'm not getting weird about it.
No, I get it.
Just, my phone started to blow up asking about it, or something on the consent agenda. People talk about things. I hear a lot. I'm on the fields all the time.
Right.
And I agree with you 100%. They can be better.
Yeah.
Let's start with yesterday.
Correct. Well, that's something that we've discussed, behind the scenes, and we've discussed it a couple of times, a possibility of what we can do there. We've discussed options of turf fields, we've discussion of very different things. I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. Everything that you've said this evening, I agree.
Having a full-time employee of Chatham Township in the role of rec director is not going to be detrimental to things happening again. That's going to be a big part of his job.
But just to be clear, the rec director is already an approved position. This doesn't affect that approved position. This is a renegotiation that affects other parts of the shared. So it has nothing to do with the rec director. That's already been.
Well, it's how we can.
Yeah.
Well, it has to do with transitioning from a very specific 2016 shared service agreement we have with the borough, where it's agreed that effectively the borough's rec director is going to act for all intents and purposes as a schedule controller, and the effective rec director won't be, because we don't have one. And that's really the issue. And I would just say, we're kind of doing this a little ad lib, but maybe we'll just cover this basis now, when we get to that item on the agenda. And it's an interesting illustration of what happens when people start talking about things. So I totally get where you come from. I coached rec sports for 9 years, also in Walterboro in the Township, as a resident of Walterboro in the Township, joined rec sports obviously. But to the extent that this resolution has to do with affecting the necessary steps to open a 6-month window to renegotiate this one very specific aspect of the shared services agreement with the borough, it's important, you can point out to people, because the agendas are out there available, that it says in the actual resolution that this resolution is, quote, not intended to include, disrupt, or modify the joint recreation program of the Chathams, and specifically to preserve the Joint Recreation Advisory Committee, the Joint Recreation Mission Statement, the Recreation Policies and Procedures Operational Manual, and the Joint Recreation Advisory Committee bylaws. So we're not looking to do any of that stuff, but I can see how rumors spread or whatever, but as Committee Member Lowe said, our joint recreation relationship with Chatham Borough is governed by an ordinance that was passed in 2005. If we're gonna do anything about that, that's different. That involves, introducing an ordinance, going through that process, having a public comment period about it. We're not looking to do anything like that. We're just looking to move the ball forward on what hopefully will be,
If we make any
an
change,
effective 6 month, hopefully not 6 months, but there's a window of 6 months to just resolve a couple issues that have been arisen with regard to the scheduling and all that stuff. We're planning on addressing.
essentially,
And hopefully you'll be involved.
essentially, if you were to make any change to that agreement that we have to give them 6 months notice. That's the way the agreement is worded, right? So that's why we're giving the notice and letting them know, look, we intend to hire a full-time director, so that needs to be accounted for into our agreement. That's an alteration of the agreement, so we have to let you know we want to amend it. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, the 6 month notice is for termination, it's not for, my contention, which we're supposed to discuss later, is
Yeah.
that I think we should in good faith work with the borough to figure out how to revise this contract. I don't think we terminate the agreement and then start a negotiation. In this case, where it's two towns who are supposed to be working cooperatively, so I won't be voting for this resolution.
Okay, thank you.
I'll just say, Mark, thank you for your consideration last year on Sunday Fields. I'll say that. No worries. Kept it open.
Okay, now we are going to go into the public hearing and final adoption of the ordinances. First is ordinance 2022-06, amending salary ordinance. Can I get a motion to adopt?
So moved.
And is there a second? Second.
We should have the public hearing first.
Oh, yeah, the public
Yeah,
hearing
we
first,
have a
sorry.
motion, but take.
I thought it was adopt first.
No, we.
Oh, no, introduce, no,
Oh,
I'm on.
Motion to adopt.
Sorry.
No, it would be public hearing first, and then
My
motion
bad.
later in case if you
Is
decide.
there, okay, we're opening the public hearing on the ordinance 2022-06, amending salary ordinance. All the rules for public hearing applied as before. Anybody?
No,
Anybody online?
really.
All right, so I'm closing the public hearing on that ordinance.
Okay, and we have our motion.
Can we have a motion to?
Wait, we
wait
have that,
again?
No,
We're
we're fine.
Okay, so now roll call vote to adopt.
Mrs. Ewell,
Yes.
Mrs. Monaco,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hamilton,
Yes.
and Mayor Felice.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Next is, let's open the public hearing for ordinance 2022-07, the capital ordinance. Anyone?
No, we're good.
Anybody online?
Nope.
All right, we're gonna close the public hearing.
I just like.
Okay, so should I do
Well, yeah.
introduction first?
Yeah, we should have a
Motion to
motion
adopt
and
first?
discussion.
Yeah, okay, motion to adopt,
So moved.
A second.
and is there discussion? Did you
Oh,
say
I
no?
just, yes, I'm sorry. It took me a moment. Yeah, there. I guess I lost that gunfight. So I just wanted to note that this capital ordinance provides for capital this year without the issuance of any debt. And I've said that previously, but I just wanted to put an exclamation point on that, because for residents and for all the departments that are affected by this and for all the assets that we can acquire, this gives us extra flexibility that we haven't had in the past. And residents can know that we will be acquiring everything under this capital ordinance without issuing any debt. And I think that's an amazing achievement in the budgeting process this year. And it stops piling into the 33% increase in debt that we've experienced in the last few years. And that is very important in order to get the finances of this township back in order. And I'm very proud to be part of the finance committee in doing that, and very proud to be part of this, the township committee that's going to pass this.
Okay, can we get a roll call vote?
Mrs. Ewald,
Yes.
Mrs. Finacco,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hamilton,
Yes.
and Mayor Felice.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, now can I open up the public hearing for ordinance 2022-08 sewer utility capital ordinance? Anyone?
No hands raised.
No, all right, so we will close the public hearing, and can I get a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, and any discussion?
Just reiterate those same comments on this capital ordinance.
And roll call vote?
Mrs. Ewald,
Yes.
Mrs. Finacco,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hamilton,
Yes.
and Mayor Felice.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great, now we're gonna move to the consent agenda, so this will be all the items except resolution 2022-178 and 2022-181. Can I get a motion to adopt?
So moved.
Second.
And a roll call?
Mrs. Ewald,
Yes.
Mrs. Finacco,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hamilton,
Yes.
and Mayor Felice.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, I know we had already pretty much discussed, but we can continue. The formal notice of alteration to the joint rec agreement.
You have to make.
Oh, motion to adopt, sorry.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Discussion.
Now discussion, thank you.
Yeah, again, my whole big thing is there's I just think you negotiate in good faith and you don't jump into a termination agreement. So I made that point before, and that's where I'm coming from.
See, I don't really view this as a full termination. I would view it as a, hey, let me know, we got alter this. We're gonna make some changes.
I mean, I'm fine if we alter the resolution to read that last section. That's the. Okay. If the last says, the last paragraph says, now therefore be it resolved that the Township Committee of the Township of Chatham authorizes the immediate termination of the March 14, 2016 shared service agreement with the joint rec program, blah, blah, blah. So if instead we say, authorizes the renegotiation of the 2016 shared service, I would be comfortable with that.
My issue is that, like, I thought we've been negotiating for the past 3 months. Can you?
I mean, we didn't authorize officially by resolution. I mean, everything was either executive session, and like I said, when I reached out to Borough, they weren't under the impression it was renegotiation.
So you have an obligation to continue that joint services agreement. If you want to change it, you have to issue the notice that you want to terminate it, and then you can renegotiate a different joint service agreement whereby our rec director, if you're gonna definitely hire one, maybe assumes those responsibilities from the borough. That's something we can negotiate, where they pay us. So we're the,
Wait, so
Sorry, jumping in. So in order to make amendments to this agreement, we have to formally terminate in order to amend it.
well, but if you're going to hire, and I think
That's a substantial change to
that's,
the agreement.
well, if you want to do that, you're gonna start that, clock ticking, and you have 6 months. So you won't,
if you read the agreement, it says that we could, in good faith, negotiate any dispute. We're not negotiating a dispute. So this is a simple misreading of the agreement. Now, I would normally say, you know what, this is a misreading of the agreement. But Mrs. Ewald, I believe that you fundamentally do not want to improve recreation in this town. And my evidence for that is that when we voted to improve the tennis courts in this town, you voted no. When we voted to improve the municipal pool in this town, you voted no. And now, when we vote to improve the recreation by adding staffing to it and attention to it, you've also said that you're going to vote no. And so this is not simply a misreading or misunderstanding of what the contract says or legal terms, but rather you don't want to improve recreation. And the final piece of evidence I have for that is that in 2018-10 resolution, there was set aside $30,000 to improve Colony Pool. That money since 2018 has been set aside on our books and could have been spent in the first year of your term, in the second year of your term, or now in the third year of your term. When you were mayor and you had the majority, $30,000 was on our books and should have been used in the municipal pool. In fact, it was reserved and could only have been spent at our municipal pool. And instead of doing that, what you decided to do was nothing, to do nothing with that money and to hold it on the government's books for nothing. So I can only conclude that you do not want to improve the recreation in this town. And I am going to vote yes on this because I do want to improve the recreation in this town. I have voted for the tennis courts. I have voted for improving the municipal pool, and I will continue to scrounge through the books and records of this township in order to improve it with monies that's not only set aside in debt, not only set aside by reservation or appropriation, but actual dollars that exist in cash on our books, and to hold that back from residents and use it to make improvements is something that I think goes beyond poor judgment.
Well, Mr. Lois, unfortunately, you have selective hearing, and residents can go back to the record and listen to exactly what I said. But repeatedly, I have supported the efforts. It's the approach I haven't supported. I have not supported a blank check for you to just spend as you will at Colony Pool. I went into that discussion saying I supported the $45,000 in expenditures, but there was clearly in the resolution the flexibility for you to spend those funds as you wish, as opposed to clarifying exactly what that was spent. So it has nothing to do, and I've said it repeatedly, that I support improving our rec programs, but I did not support the way things are being done. And the residents can feel free to go back and look at all of that video, and they'll see exactly what I said and why I said it.
And when you were mayor and you had the majority and full control, and you had the entire amount of money sitting on the books that could have been spent, you never spent the money. And that was in your first year, your second year, and also in this year, the third year of your term, you have decided to say no to spending money.
No, nobody asked for money.
Had.
Nobody asked for money, and you were the chair of Colony Pool. You would have been happy if I knew the funds were there, which I did not know funds were sitting idle, and I'm not even sure what those funds were. They might have been allocated for something else. So you make up stories to suit whatever topic you happen to be trying to twist at that point. And my family has been at Colony for about 15 years. I support everything that is being done at Colony. I don't support the behind-the-scenes approach that's being taken of late, mostly by you, Mr. Lois.
All right, can we go for a vote? Okay, go ahead, everybody.
I just want to get back to the actual resolution that's on the table right here. And again, the actual resolution is, now therefore, be it resolved that Township Committee, authorizes the termination of the March 14th, 2006 shared service agreement. In accordance with paragraph Roman numeral 4C of that agreement. Roman numeral 4C of the agreement specifically says that this agreement can only be terminated by either party upon 6 months written notice by other party, which means passing this resolution tonight by virtue of paragraph, that I just read, 4C, means we're basically triggering 4C, which means that if some resolution is not reached during the 6-month window, the agreement, and again, this is just the 2016 shared service agreement, not the 2005 ordinance establishing the joint rec program, not the bylaws of the joint rec program, not the JRAC, not any of this stuff, just this one particular agreement. 6 months from now, will terminate by virtue of this resolution, serving as notice pursuant to that paragraph. This is regardless of what committee member Ewald is hearing from, apparently from people in the borough. You know, my understanding is, and I have no reason to doubt the veracity of this, that efforts have been made to move forward on discussing some of these things, including the very significant change of incorporating and using a Chatham Borough Rec Director in tandem with Borough Rec Director and Township Director with the Borough Director have not gone anywhere, that months have gone by, and frankly, you know, I consider this to be a totally normal, not particularly confrontational, you know, matter of the way these things are commonly conducted in both business and government affairs, which is we're setting the clock, because if we don't, what's going to happen is we're going to kick this around for 6 months, and hopefully we can make a resolution. But if we can't, we reach a standstill, then maybe we're all in agreement that we need to terminate this. And then, but guess what? Pursuant to the contract, we need to wait 6 months before it gets terminated. So I'm confident, extremely confident that this committee and the borough committee can work together and resolve this issue. But I'm very much in favor of putting it on the clock. And that's all we're doing here tonight, is putting it on the clock. It's one aspect of renegotiating the township's role in rec director services. And I think it's a prudent and sensible thing to do. It's absolutely in no way precludes good faith negotiations. And I'm, like I said, very optimistic that this will be resolved. I just don't want to find us 6 months from now finding out, unfortunately, that it can't be resolved, and then we have to wait another 6 months.
So just to reference another part of the agreement, it says in 4D, this agreement cannot be amended, modified, transferred, changed, or supplemented in any respect except by written mutual agreement of both parties hereto. To me, that's your negotiation. That's
Right.
all this is.
And to me, that efforts to make that negotiation, again, with respect, I know you're being told what you're being told, but I have every reason to believe that 3 months have gone by and nothing happened. And so I'm hoping to light a little fire under this, but still maintain that, yes, you know,
Mr. King.
in the next 6 months, hopefully we can work out a new agreement. And I also think the nature of what this agreement is really about, the thrust of this agreement has to do with a joint rec director, and who's going to have an office in Borough Hall, and it's going to be the joint rec director, and changing that structure to include a borough rec director and a township rec director, and how they're going to work together is such a fundamental restructuring of this agreement. I don't really think it's feasible to amend it, a little paragraph here. I think we need a new agreement.
Yeah, I don't think the 2016, when it was amended in 2016, I don't believe, and I could be wrong, somebody correct me, but I don't believe they terminated it before. And those were major changes at that point too. I think they did it through discussion. I don't recall hearing that the joint rec, the shared services agreement was being terminated at that point. So we've already been through this once before.
I tend to agree with everything. We're making a substantial change because we want to add a full-time rec director. I think that's enough to trigger the negotiations that need to occur to change that that agreement. That's really it. I want to improve the rec program. That's really it.
And just so residents understand, it also does cover trust fund management.
Yes.
In terms of,
It says in the resolution, whereas the current and effective shared service agreement of the joint recreation of the program of the Chathams relates only to the program coordinator, trust fund management, and supervision of background checks for the joint recreation program. And the reason for that is because, like I said, we want to have our own full-time rec director for our town.
A large part of it is going to be involved in the trust management.
Well, it's going to need to interact.
Yeah.
They're going to need to be able to work together, and I think there needs to be that needs to be itemized into the agreement. So that's what I'm saying.
I assume we're going to vote, but I would just say that I think that we have disagreement here with Mrs. Ewald on nomenclature and methodology, but I think that we're all more or less moving in the same direction, and is hoping to have productive, fruitful negotiations over the course of the next 6 months.
And I have offered my services to help with those negotiations. I don't disagree with negotiating. I just want a good faith, friendly negotiation with our neighbors next door. Our kids are in these
Maybe
programs.
you can
playing
talk in
together.
the process.
I'm more than happy.
We can have, we'll figure out,
This whole discussion will move.
exactly, because I would love, of course, I would like to come to an easy agreement and get this over and done with quickly, so it doesn't even get to that point. So we would really appreciate your help with that. All right, can we get a roll call vote?
Mrs. Ewell,
No.
Mrs. Findaco,
No.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hamilton,
Yes.
Mayor Felice.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, the next is resolution 2022-181. I don't know the name of it. Can you read it?
It's basically authorizing appointing the interim township administrator.
Yes.
Whose name is
This year.
The shot.
Okay. Yes, he has arrived. So I can read a little bit about you, or you want to say a little bit about yourself? I'm sorry to put you on the spot. Or not? All right, did you want to say a couple more about yourself? Sorry. We're voting to appoint you as an interim administrator.
Appreciate it, and it was a pleasure meeting you and Committeewoman Ewald this afternoon. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Just to give you background, I was an elected official in a form of government similar to yours, Township Committee, for about 3 terms. Also served as an administrator in that township, and also served as an administrator in a borough form of government for about 3 years. While there, also served as the executive director of the redevelopment agency, and have a background in the legislative process, having worked in District 21 legislative offices years ago as well. So come with a variety of government experience, in addition to some federal and state at the Army and National Guard level as well. So my passion is government, local government especially, because I believe that touches everybody's life in a more impactful and direct way. So I appreciate the opportunity to serve you on an interim basis here for the Township of Chatham as you move forward in the future of the township and try to make it a better place. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Do you guys have any other questions for him? Alexander? Sorry. that I put you on
No,
the
this was
spot.
a very unexpected day in so many regards.
Yeah.
So,
Sorry.
in keeping with that theme, I'm happy to answer questions.
Otherwise, we'll move to the vote.
I'll need a motion.
Oh, yeah, sorry, motion to adopt.
Yes. Moved, sorry.
Second.
Okay, can I get a roll call?
Mrs. Ewell,
Yes.
Mrs. Findaco,
Yes.
Mr. Lewis,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hamilton,
Yes.
Mayor Felice.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great, and we have no executive session tonight, so can I get a motion to adjourn? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, have a good evening. It's nice and early this evening, I appreciate that. All righty.